I'm Joe LaMonaco. That's Ruth Rowe Campbell, right over there.
Hello, Joe.
Hi, Ruth, and this is the Truth From Ruth Radio Hour. Ruth Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at digginfordeals.com, DIGGIN for deals.com. Soon to have a brand new home we'll be telling you about. Stay tuned for that. There's going to be a brand new place for Ruth online coming very, very soon. But right now, you can find her and the team at DIGGIN for deals.com. We are back for the Truth From Ruth to talk about real estate, and we're going to be talking about this is something that's important. You know, for the last, it's been a few years, Miss Ruth, it has been a seller's market, bidding wars, overpriced, people getting more than their asking price on homes, and not a lot of inventory. But somewhere in the back of this conversation the sellers are always thinking, are there things I have to do to my house to get it ready for sale? Should I be making improvements? Do I need to buy anything? Do I need to change anything?
Those are the questions we receive.
And we're going to be talking in this episode about smart ways to sell a home without a costly remodel. Even in this market where things are very competitive from the buyer's side and they're looking for certain things, we want to set the record straight. And Miss Ruth is going to give us her perspective and 40 plus years of expertise in the real estate market to talk about the things that you can and should pay attention to, and things that you can kind of close out, not pay attention to. People who shouldn't be in your ear when you are making a very important decision about...
Or your checkbook.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's just start right off the bat, Miss Ruth. You got to remodel to sell. You got to make sure everything is looking its best if you're going to be putting your house on the market. It's one of, I would suspect, the most expensive myths in the real estate market.
It certainly is. And sellers often feel pressured to do unnecessary repairs by, unfortunately, real estate agents, or in order to prep the home. You have to remember they're working on commission, so the more money you get, the bigger their check is. Exactly. But do those renovations really bring a return? Now, let me just say one thing here. Buyers are still buyers. Mm-hmm. When they come in and look at the home, they can be very critical. There are certain things they forgive and things they do not forgive. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. So, of course, most buyers are not going into a home because they want a fabulous kitchen or they want an updated bathroom. That's not the reason why people are looking at your home or really any home. They're starting out with some bigger issues to start off with. They want probably a location, maybe a school district or something, or amenities in a neighborhood are what they're looking at more than what's inside a house.
Well, let's talk about the price, too. Maybe they're looking for a good price, something they can afford and they can get into.
And that is often the biggest driver, is those things that are above and beyond sort of the physicality of that location, sort of how the house is laid out, where the bathrooms are situated, how big is the kitchen, has it been, are the countertops 40 years old, has anything been painted or whatnot. There are really bigger questions that many buyers are asking before they even walk into a house. They maybe just be looking online. Maybe they're going to Digging for Deals to start off and looking and seeing the pictures first, and then they want to take a look.
And if there is a big, beautiful remodeled kitchen and two big, beautiful remodeled bathrooms, that's a real plus. But are they going to pay the full price of the remodel? No, they're not.
And in many cases, you could possibly put yourself behind the eight ball if you are wringing your hands over, what do I need to do to this house to make it sell worthy? Maybe thinking about, is any property, let's take a broader look. Is every property sale worthy as it is.
Every property can sell. Yes, that sounds like a strange thing to say, but if you put a property, there was an old real estate woman named Edith Lank in the olden days, and she used to have this saying: if you put a property on the market for $1, guess what? It'll sell. Okay, it will sell, and we're certainly not advocating people do that, but there is always a price that everything sells for, a market value, and sometimes a lower price, a more conservative price, let's say, is going to really get the seller a bigger return. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Let's zoom out a little bit. So if you're considering putting your home on the market, who's that trusted person in your ear that you want to have to maybe walk through your home with you to either calm your anxiety about the way things look or point out things that can be done to improve your position?
And that is traditionally the role of the real estate agent. The New York State calls us licensees. Okay. There are real estate licensees, agents, they call them. There are also real estate brokers. Okay, there are associate brokers and there are principal brokers. Principal brokers own their own company. So the question that a homeowner should ask is, how long have you been selling real estate full time? That's the catch. How many years have you been selling real estate full time? The typical real estate agent nationwide has 3 years or less in real estate, according to the National Association of Realtors.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
3 years.
Not a whole lot. You would suspect that it would be substantially higher nationwide.
That's what it is. It's an in and out business, and it's not easy for real estate people, real estate individuals, to list your home, wait for it to sell, go through the process of closing, not in New York State, before they get paid.
Okay.
So, a homeowner needs to interview a number of different people and then see who makes sense to them.
Who is the right fit for you? Who's got the experience that meets your standard? You want someone who maybe has done this a lot of times, and then having that relationship gives you the advantage of taking their expertise into account when it comes to what do I need to, if I need to do anything to my property, to my house, before I sign on the dotted line and that goes up on the market and ready for people to come and take a look at and potentially buy.
Absolutely. You can ask them, you can bring them in, you can ask them, what do you recommend that I do to this house to make it attractive to homeowners or buyers out there in the market? We believe that the real estate people coming in are local. They know the market, and that would be a good thing to find out. What should I do to my house? Now, if there's a conflict of interest and they start telling you to do a whole lot of gut the kitchen out and the bathrooms, and stop right there. Stop right there. Okay, there's the door. Go there.
Please don't let it hit you in the keister as you walk through it. Because over-improving, that can do a number of things. Not only can it set you back, maybe you've got a timeline that you've got to keep for getting your home on the market because you have other places to be. Maybe it's a move or a job change or on a time frame. It can drain money out of your initial savings. You've got money set aside that you should be using to put towards where you're going instead of where you will no longer be living. You've got to balance that out. And it can also get to a point where you're starting to get to that price range where you said you can put a property on the market for $1, somebody will pay $1, but maybe you're going to over-improve potentially and price your home out of the market. Because you're trying to recoup what you've put into it just because you thought you had to in order to sell it.
And what are those items that are really going to spruce the listing up, really make it appealing to buyers? What are those common sense items?
That is what we're going to talk about next. This is the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour. And the truth from Ruth is you don't need perfection, you need positioning. Because smart sellers can find that potential, and they can sell the potential in their home. But there are a few things that you can do that can help move the needle that really don't cost all that much. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about how to be smart when selling a home without the costly updates and remodels. This is the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180, and we're back next. I'm Joe LaMonaco, along with Ruth Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at digginfordeals.com, and this is the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180. Find Miss Ruth and her team at diggin4deals.com, and another brand new website is coming very soon. We're going to be talking about it, and you're going to hear about it with all of this wonderful information that we've been sharing, all of the shows that Miss Ruth has done. Everything's going to be warehoused in one place, coming soon to an internet near you. But for the moment, go to digin4deals.com to find Ms. Ruth and the team at digginfordeals.com. We are talking about smart ways to sell your home. Even in this market, it is a seller's market. We keep hearing about that. Sellers are in a great position, but sometimes you can still get caught up and have people whispering in your ear say, you need to update your kitchen. You need to change your bathroom out. You need to do a lot of other costly things to your home in order to get it ready for sale. When actually, Miss Ruth, what moves the needle, what's worth doing and what's not worth doing, and what have you seen in your years of experience? And remember what you said in that last section that a lot of real estate agents and licensees nationwide have an average of about 3 years experience. Now, Miss Ruth's got over 4 decades of experience here. So she's seen and done this over and over and over again with her clients.
That is true, Joe. It's almost embarrassing. We don't want to tell people.
You should not be embarrassed.
I was a teenager when I started.
She was in utero when she started selling. Okay, so in your experience, Miss Ruth, and that's what we're going to be talking about here, what is worth doing that people that are thinking of putting their home on the market or are already in that process should be just saying, yeah, I can do these are simple things.
Okay, call your local cleaning lady. If you don't clean for yourself,
if you don't want to do it yourself,
make friends with your local cleaning lady. It is any money that you spend on cleaning or doing it yourself is going to return thousands of dollars to you at closing. And that includes decluttering your house, picking up those old newspapers that have been laying around on the floor, or those chairs that need to be reupholstered that the dog or cat sleeps on, those nice comfy places. Yeah. We don't want to take the dog's chair away, but he can move someplace else.
Yeah,
okay.
There are other chairs.
During the time the property's marketed. Yeah. He can. Okay. Floors. This is the truth from Ruth. Floors, very important when you walk into a house. The floor has to be clean. There should be no tripping hazards. No matter the, quote, condition of the floor, it has to be clean. And if you can get a floor polished or nice looking, or even the new not inexpensive laminate flooring that people put in, new flooring and paint are the two most important things that are going to bring big money at closing.
I want to go back to the deep cleaning, and we're talking top to bottom, inside, outside, upside down. Even if you've got an unfinished basement, get the cobwebs out.
Yes.
From around windows and from the floor joists above your head. Yes. Attic space is exactly the same thing. If you don't have the expertise or the time to do it, an interior cleaner, a landscaper. Having someone come in and trim your trees and trim your bushes and make sure that everything looks kind of nice. Throw a bag of mulch down.
Take that old, that hose that's been laying around get rid of it.
And decluttering and depersonalizing. I want to expand on that just a little bit. When someone walks into the home, and I've seen, because I watch a lot of home and garden television, so I've seen a lot of this. Okay, but again, I pick up some of these things. a buyer walking into your property and seeing how it could potentially be their property is something that can happen very quickly and can build a strong connection to that property, which can only help you in the long run. And even if it's just putting stuff in a box and putting it into a closet so that your home is ready to be seen by other people, it's a simple thing that can prove to be very valuable and doesn't really cost you anything, just some of your time.
Get a storage facility. Mm-hmm. Keep your closets open and clean, and put a simple storage facility. Put your boxes in it temporarily. Doesn't have to be for your lifetime, but it's a good idea. And here's the truth from Ruth: buyers will forgive an outdated anything.
Okay.
They will not forgive dirty or neglected.
Okay. So this goes into, so they won't forgive dirty. It's easy to mop or to vacuum or to clean.
There are people that do this.
Now, let's talk neglected for just a second here, because this ties in with the things that are often not worth it, but things that can often be the result of neglect. Let's talk about roofs, windows, and floors. Now, if you've got a serviceable roof on your house, but someone's told you, you might want to think about that in 2 or 3 years, let's put you in their ear about what they should be doing and what they should be thinking.
Sell it as is.
Okay.
It's nice to have a new roof, and we're just closing Friday a big, beautiful home where the seller put in last year, 12 months ago, a $30,000+ roof.
And now they're selling that house.
Okay. And it's nice for the buyer.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're getting a brand new, basically, roof under warranty.
Yeah.
Under warranty. But did the seller get a return?
No.
Not really, not $1. It's sad to say.
Yeah. And the same thing can go for windows or flooring. These are things that can often be pushed off or have to be pushed off because they are major expenses for homeowners. But if you are looking to sell your home, get good advice about what needs to be done. Absolutely. Maybe a safety issue, maybe something that, for
common sense.
Common sense. You want to invest the money in, understanding that you may not get $1 back out of that investment.
Now I have to disagree with you on that because their cleaning people are fairly inexpensive. There are people that wash your windows. They'll even wash inside and out your windows. And that is money well spent because you're going to get a return tenfold.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Cleaning and so far. I'm saying, you know what? All the windows on the upper floors need to be replaced. No. If you're selling your home, unless it is a safety or structure issue, that is a cosmetic. At the end of the day, that comes down to cosmetic. The other thing that the people can get caught in the last couple of minutes here, I just want to talk about it. Trends can often cloud your judgment about how a buyer might think your home should look today.
Yes. Colors.
Yeah.
Colors. There are modern colors. It's been gray for the last at least 5 years since COVID.
Gray's a big deal.
Gray sells. Mm-hmm. Okay, but before that it was beige. We all remember colored appliances. You know, olive green refrigerators.
Avocado.
Okay, when stainless came back in appliances, we were like, oh wow. Stainless. We remember that.
We remember that from
My
back in the
grandmother had a stainless refrigerator. Okay, but now it's very popular.
Right.
And it is beautiful.
So at the bottom line here is, and we just want to reiterate this truth from Ruth from this segment, buyers will forgive outdated. They will forgive countertops that aren't modernized or cabinet doors that don't look the same. But what they don't forgive are things that are easy for you to do or relatively inexpensive to do. Dirty, neglected.
Yes.
Clean it up. Polish it up.
Declutter.
Clean, bright, and honest will beat shiny and overdone any day of the week. All right? So you want more? You want to reach out to Ruth and the team? They are at diggin4deals.com, and coming soon, a brand new home for all of these Truth from Ruth shows, from all of Ruth's experience. It's all going to be cataloged and warehoused in a brand new online storefront coming very soon. But for the moment, we're still at diggin4deals.com. for you to reach out to Ruth and the team. If you've got questions, you're thinking of putting your home on the market, and you want to have someone with 40 years experience, 40 plus years experience working with you, or at least have an interview with Ruth and the team, absolutely give them a holler at DIGGIN4deals.com. Smart ways to sell your home is this Truth from Ruth Radio Hour, and we will continue right after this on News Radio WHAM 1180. Thanks for spending time with us. We are back for the second half of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180. I'm Joel LaMonaco with Ruth Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at digginfordeals.com, DIGGIN4deals.com. And coming soon, we'll be telling you more about a brand new online home for Ruth and the team, where you'll be able to hear these shows that Ruth does with us once a month. There's going to be a lot more information up there. It's all going to be one consolidated place with links and everything that you're going to need. It is coming very soon. We can't wait to tell you more about it. But while it's still being put together and the finishing touches are on it, we'll send you over to digginfordeals.com to find Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals and the entire team. One thing I want to talk about before we move on to our next topic. Full kitchen remodels, full bathroom remodels for people that are thinking about putting their home on the market. What's your gut on those?
I'd love a new kitchen.
As a buyer, I would love to come into a home.
And if you're going to enjoy a new kitchen, go right ahead. You've earned it.
Mm-hmm. But
if you're doing it for somebody else,
right,
think again.
Okay. And that's real. We want to keep this simple, guys, okay? Simple things that you can do and simple decisions that can be made. As we mentioned in the last section, buyers will forgive outdated. They will, because they'll come in and they want to see themselves in your space and what they can do to their taste, not what you will provide for them.
And price is so important to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to price it right.
Price is so important to them.
And
so they may be looking for something that just needs a little bit of updating because they can get into that neighborhood, they can get into that school district. Come on, guys.
Exactly. So you've got to be able to hit a lot of things here, and doing some simple things, as we mentioned. Get it clean, get it decluttered. Make it look shiny and nice.
Call your local cleaning woman.
Exactly. Let them.
Or man.
Yeah.
Or man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're no gender neutral here.
Nice try, Miss Ruth. Okay. But that speaks to our next topic that we want to talk about, why hiring the right professional matters and why obligation is expensive.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to explain a little bit.
This is the one big hardship that I hear from people.
Okay.
My sister's daughter's friend just got into real estate.
Oh, okay.
And we would really like her. What they're really saying is they feel obligated.
Yeah.
To the daughter's sister friend.
We'd really like you to give her the listing.
And it I'm not out here to ruin anybody's relationships, but obligation, when you list your home, you're hiring a fiduciary, you're hiring somebody to represent you amongst primarily the real estate community and the entire buying public, and you want to have the best person, not somebody that you feel obligated to hire. That's all I want to say.
She mentioned, this agent is, you mentioned fiduciary, and we're hearing that tossed around a lot. I want you to think about the relationship you have with someone who is working with you to sell your home, your house, the same way you would look at the relationship you have with a financial advisor or with a lawyer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Even more important.
Exactly.
Because they're the engine that pulls the train. The real estate people, they bring the buyers in.
And it can sometimes be, I shouldn't say often, it can sometimes be that when that wrong relationship starts, that other wrong relationships can come as a result. And that can be, you really ought to update all of the rooms. You ought to really think about doing this bathroom. You ought to really think about putting a new roof on the place.
Remember, they work on commission. So the more you get, And if you have to spend money to get that, well, that's okay. It needs to be done anyways, but it doesn't necessarily need to be done by you to sell that property cleanly, efficiently, effectively, and to bring market value for your neighborhood.
This home that you are selling, this home that you've built, this house that you are potentially selling is one where you have built up a lot of emotional relationships with. But emotion is one of the last things that you should put into the mix when it comes to making financial decisions. Any good financial advisor is going to tell you that. Any good real estate person should be telling you that as well. It should be, as much as possible, an emotionless decision when it comes to what you continue to invest in a property you are vacating and how to best use your resources to maximize your return. It really is about that. I shouldn't say it's black and white, but it almost kind of seems like that.
Sometimes also, in fairness, that person that you're obligated to or you feel obligated to, they may be uncomfortable telling you things that you need to hear.
Okay. That's on the other side of the coin here.
Okay. Now, whereas an independent person will say those things to you in a polite way, but yet they're important that you know about them. They're important that you know about them. I had one gentleman who told me, pounded his fist, "I want my property on the market. I want it on the market." Okay. And I said, "Well, good. I have this cleaning service." And he had been a widower, excuse me. And I had this cleaning service, and, you don't have to worry about paying them. I'll put the money out and we'll pay them, we'll take it out at closing. Well, my house isn't dirty. My house isn't dirty. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a person that you're obligated to would be uncomfortable. Aunt so-and-so or, whatever, grandmama, okay, would be uncomfortable addressing that. But a good broker or a good agent is going to tell you, yes, you need a cleaning service. And oh, by the way, I have one handy.
Yeah. And a good person, the right relationship is going to bring resources to bear potentially that you don't even know you need. Because having the license to be able to do this type of work doesn't equate to having the experience to know when it is necessary for you to bring other resources to bear because that particular piece of property needs it to maximize the value.
How true. How true, Joe.
And it's not just about, I have a great cleaning service that we use and we trust them and we know them. It's about something it's about broader things than that. It's about the strategies to market that product, to bring it in front of the most potential buyers. It's negotiating through the process to make sure that you're not giving away things. And we've talked about this in past episodes. Anything that's not mechanical or nailed into the structure of your home is negotiable as part of a sale. Just because you have a license doesn't necessarily mean that you've got the right expertise and experience to say you're going to die on this hill, but don't die on these.
And there are all different types of properties, not just in residential, but commercial and commercial mixed with residential. Real estate is huge. So find out when you're hiring someone how many years they've been doing this full time, not part time.
Not a side hustle. Yeah.
Not, how committed are they to the industry and how many years have they been committed? Just
to remind you of the statistic Ms. Ruth told us earlier on, this is according to the National Association of Realtors. Okay, so this is nationwide. The average nationwide level of experience that a real estate agent or licensee has, about 3 years, according to their statistic. This is according to the National Association of Realtors, which means that there is a massive gap between people who have been in the business as long as you have, with 40 plus years in the business on many sides of the business. Where's the middle then?
And
where's the middle experience level?
If you get into a situation where you're hiring a team, bring in the leader of the team with the experience to talk with. Okay, don't just settle for one of the lower level people. Find out who controls the team.
Remember, you're not hiring a friend. This is the truth from Ruth. You're not hiring a friend. You're hiring a fiduciary. You're hiring someone who should have your financial interests at mind, who has the experience to know how to smartly sell that piece of property? Where do you need to continue to make investments? And what can you let go and just clean up a bit so that a new buyer can come in and see their future in your space? Maximize return, minimize additional investment so that you can concentrate on where you're going to go. Because chances are you're going to be on the buying end of a home that is in exactly the same sort of position when you get there. So why leave money behind when you can use it to afford your future?
And let me tell a story when we come right back.
Okay.
Because I have one that's appropriate.
We got to have story time with Miss Ruth when we return on the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour. That's Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at digginfordeals.com. And coming soon, a brand new online home that we cannot wait to unveil and tell you more about. But find her and the team at diggin4deals.com. That's Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals. This is the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour, and we'll be back with more next. Back to wrap things up on this Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on NewsRadio WHAM 1180. Joe LaMonaco with Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at digginfordeals.com. And coming soon, that brand new online home we can't wait to tell you about, where you can find the Truth from Ruth. That's a hint about where this is going to be. Okay, we want to make sure it's up and ready for you. Next month, we'll have a lot more information on it. Or in the meantime, just keep listening right here, and we'll let you know when things are available. But for the moment, it's diggin4deals.com. Miss Ruth, tell your story, please.
Okay, we were talking in the last episode about appliances and what can be sold and what can't be sold.
We have talked a lot about this.
Okay, here's the story. We represented the seller. They were moving to Florida. They already had their home in Florida, and they were selling their big, beautiful suburban property in Western New York State. So the buyer's agent brought in a great offer. Seller accepted it, and it included the range, the refrigerator, the dishwasher, which was attached anyways, and the microwave. Okay, so deal's in, going to the attorneys, on the way to closing, buyer's approved, everything's happy. We did a household sale for them. And they had a big, beautiful, brand new set of washer and dryer. So guess what? We put that in the household sale. And the buyer's agent found it, the household sale. And she called and she said to me, Ruth, I forgot to put that in the agreement, in the seller agreement. So I know that you're going to want to give it to us. And I said, you want to renegotiate the contract? Come on, you can't do that. But in her mind, she was she was connected to a school district. Okay, it was a second job for her. In her mind, that was okay. She had made a mistake. She meant to put the washer and dryer in the contract, but she had forgotten. And now, guess what? It's the seller's fault. Well, unfortunately, it didn't work. We ended up selling the washer and dryer, gave the money, big money, to the seller, okay, which they were happy with. And the new buyer for the washer and dryer, they needed a new washer and dryer.
I have spent 14 episodes sitting next to you talking about these types of things, and it has completely changed my perspective about things that you negotiate everything. Nothing gets sold for $1. Nothing gets included just because.
You never renegotiate. Once you negotiate, it's it.
Done.
It's a contract.
So it brings up an interesting point about just reminding people the differences between seller's agent and buyer's agent.
Correct.
And who works for what, who works for who, and what they are able to help in negotiation.
Yes, and
to maximize.
We can even do a whole show on that, because in the olden days, everybody represented the seller.
Right.
Makes sense,
sure.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guess what? It's not that way anymore, folks. The world changes.
So let's talk about the differences. This is a good time to remind people. Okay, let's start with the buyer's agent first, and then we'll finish with the seller's
agent. Buyer's agents represent the buyer exclusively, and their job is to get as much from the seller as they can, as little as possible. That's their job.
Okay.
They're not friendly. Not to sellers.
They're ferocious. But again, they're trying to get price reductions, credits, repairs, contingencies. Concessioncy. Anything they can get to help their buyer get more for less. Okay.
Yes, that's their job.
And they are legally obligated to advocate for the buyer. Okay. They represent the buyer's interest,
not the seller.
And a seller's agent, how do you differentiate?
Exactly
It's just the opposite.
The opposite.
Okay.
Okay. We're here just exclusively to represent the seller in all aspects. We have what's called a duty to account.
Okay.
Okay. Now there's a few little neat things that New York State lets us do, because if a buyer calls us and says, "Gee, we want to write an offer on that house," New York State allows us to help that individual because it's in the seller's best interest. But we never, ever, ever, ever represent that individual.
Right. You can help a buyer's agent, but you do not represent or advocate for the buyer.
We can also help a buyer buy the seller's home. New York State allows us to do that, but we never represent the buyer.
Exactly. Everyone wants the deal to close, of course. It's just your motivations are a little bit different. So that's how things line up on that part. But this goes back to what Miss Ruth talked about earlier in the show. It's about you're creating a fiduciary relationship with the agent that you work with, whether you are selling or buying a piece of property. Ask them, who do they represent? Are they on both sides of a transaction, or try to be on both sides of a transaction? They need to tell you if you ask.
Or they may not even know.
Right.
They just got into real estate 3 years ago.
Exactly.
They're not sure.
Because again, the national average...
Is that a trick question?
According to the National Association of Realtors, the average level of experience that most nationwide have is about 3 years. It's not a whole lot of time to gain a whole lot of experience,
right,
when it comes to how you're going to line up. And of course, we have to remind you, Miss Ruth's got over 4 decades in this business.
No.
Okay?
Please don't
I'm just
it.
doing that. Anyway, so before we run out of time here... the truth that we want to make sure that people understand here is that someone is guarding their equity, not giving it away.
Yes. Sellers need, what you need when you sell any kind of real estate is an agent that guards your equity. Doesn't give it away.
And that can go to everything that we have talked about in this episode. Guarding that equity means you have an experienced voice in your ear to tell you what needs to be addressed, what you might want to address, and things that you can let the next owner address. Where to spend dollars in a property that you are leaving so that you can get as much return as possible. And also to make sure that when you're negotiating that sale, that if it ain't nailed down, as Miss Ruth says, if it ain't nailed down, it's negotiable. And that's how it works in New York State. And you have to remember that you do have that ability to say, whoa, hold on here. I'm not giving anything away.
Including the commission.
Exactly. And
okay.
we could do an entire show on that. By the way, before we run out of time here, I do want to remind you that we have done, this is our 14th episode of the Truth From Ruth Radio Hour. And we are working, and Miss Ruth and her team are working on a brand new online home where you will be able to find this information that we've put out every month. You'll be able to access rebroadcast podcasts of this show so that you can listen to them again or share them with someone who might need them. And we're creating this beautiful online storefront that's going to have everything all in one place. And I know it's coming soon. I don't want to say anything until it's open and ready to go. But the Truth From Ruth will be available, and you'll be able to find it online, and we will tell you more about that next month. In the meantime, if you want information, if you are in a position where you're thinking about, you know what, it is time for downsizing. It is time for right sizing. It is time for me to move on to something else and leave my current property behind, whether that is a residential home, whether that's a business opportunity. DIGGIN4deals.com is where you find Miss Ruth and her team, and they would be happy to start that process to let you interview them and see if it's going to be a good fit.
We'd love to talk to you.
Going forward. And then you can also see what else is happening right now. Properties that are available, the auctions that are going on right now at digginfordeals.com. And Miss Ruth will be back with us again next month for a brand new episode, and we'll have more about her brand new online home as well. Ms. Ruth, from Ruth Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at digginfordeals.com. Thank you so
Joe.
very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Always great to spend time with you. And we thank you out there for spending time with us.
Our listeners.
And we will catch up with you again next time for the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180.